Hi everyone. Today's mini lesson is all about decimals. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to convert a decimal to a fraction. So as you can see here, 6.75 or 6 and 75 hundredths, if you read it that way. The 6, since it's a whole number, we're just going to keep it out front. And then the fraction part would be the decimal or any part to the right. So 75, we're going to write it over its place value, which is the hundredths. So it's 6 and 75 hundredths. Now, a good math student would know we need to simplify every fraction that you see in our course. So I'm going to divide the top and bottom by the same number, which they're both divisible by 25, which would make this 6 and 3/4. And some of you may have already known that as well. And you could have went right to 6 and 3/4. Converting fractions to decimals, we're going to our method here is just simply to divide them. Fraction is another way of dividing numbers or writing a division problem. 3 divided by 8. Now, if 8 could go into 100, you could get fancy and do some multiplication there, but I chose one that didn't work out that way to show you the division. So you're just going to do long division. 8, how many times can it go into 3? So 8 can't go into 3, so I'm going to put a 0 and a decimal. Can 8 go into 30? It goes in 3 times. 3 times 8, 24. 30 minus 24, 6. I'm going to repeat the process, bring down the 0. 8 goes into 60. Let's see, that'd be what? 7 times. 7 times 8, 56. Subtract 4. A lot of long division. 8 goes into 40. And that's nice because it comes out evenly for us. Goes in 5 times. So we have 0.375. It doesn't always come out evenly, nicely like that. There could be a repeating portion to that as well. Just keep that in mind. Adding decimals, I'm going to keep this simple and to the point. We want to line up the decimals and add like normal. Add up the decimals, add like normal, line them up. So I have 6, 6, so 7 and 66 hundredths. Subtracting, same thing. We're going to line up the decimals and subtract like normal. Fill in zeros where there are empty spots. You can't take 8 away from 2, so I'm going to have to borrow. So this is just like before, a long time ago when you do some subtracting, so 1.64. I did those pretty quick for you. Now multiplying and dividing, those are a little bit trickier. There are some tricks to each of these. When you multiply, I like to write myself a little note about how many decimal places are involved. And in this problem, there are 3. I'm going to take the decimals out, and then I'm going to put them back in at the end of the problem. So I'm just going to say onto the side, there were 3 places that I've got to put back in. I also like to write myself a note whether the final answer is going to be positive or negative. A negative times a negative is a positive, so my final answer will be positive. Then because I took out all the decimal places, I can just write the numbers with the one with the most digits first, times the one with the least amount of digits, multiply like normal without the decimals, and now I'm going to put them back in. 5 times 5, 25. 7 times 5, 35 plus 2, 37. 1 times 5, 5, and then add the 3, 875. Now I'm not finished. I have to go back, and it says 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. I'm putting that back in, so it's 0.875. And it's positive, so I don't have to write positive. It's not wrong if you write positive, I just don't have to write it. Now, dividing, there's also a trick to this as well. We want to work with the least amount of decimals as possible. What is outside of the house should not have a decimal with it. It makes it very difficult. So the second number is going to be outside of the house. I need to remove the decimal places. So 1, 2. I'm going to move the decimal places the same amount for the other part of the problem so that it was a legal operation. It's basically like multiplying each of those numbers by 100, which is legal. We can do it that way. 15 goes now into 34.5. It's a much more easier problem, manageable problem. 15 goes into 34 twice because that's 30. Subtract, bring down the 4, bring down the 5. 15 goes into 45, and that would be 3 times. And I love when they come out nice and even like that. And then it's 2.3. The decimal would continue to be in the same place. Now, like in the multiplication problem, I had to put the decimal back in. You do not have to do that to the division problem. Like, see those 2 decimal places? You don't have to put those back in because you already accounted for that. It's like you multiplied by 100 in both places.